Alright, I apologize in advance. This will probably be long, non-linear, and a bit complicated at times. So, kind of like the show. Hi everybody, welcome back to A Well-Read Nerd. I'm Amber, and this is my spoiler talk for Sandman, the Sandman. If you don't want to see a spoiler talk, I did do a non-spoilery review to let you know about my general opinion of the TV show. Go check it out up here. If you would like to hear in-depth my spoilery talk, it's mostly just a few things I want to talk about that I have to talk about spoilers in order to talk about them. But here you go. If you don't want to hear all of that, go watch my non-spoilery review. And then maybe come back later after you watch the show if you want my opinion on things. Alright, so let's start with the man himself, Morpheus. How to quantify Morpheus, in my opinion. The show tries so hard to make him so much more sympathetic than he was in the comic books. I'm not gonna lie, I hated him in the comics when I first started reading it. But it was the good kind of hate. Like, it kept me reading. But he was by no means a sympathetic character for me when I was reading the comic books. So the fact that they almost make him sympathetic from the get-go, in my opinion, fight me in the comments if you don't think he was sympathetic from the beginning. It kind of, I don't know, it cheapened his journey for me. Like, me not liking him in the first issue and first several issues after that, and slowly coming to like his character, it felt more genuine than the show's portrayal, which made it seem like, yeah, he's kind of an a-hole, but like he's an a-hole you're supposed to like kind of thing. And I think that's just a difference in media. Television shows and movies, for whatever reason, try to go out of their way for you to be sympathetic and amicable towards their main character much earlier than a lot of other formats do. A lot of them feel like you need to grow with it. TV and movies are sort of like, get it over and done with and out of the way so they can move on to other things. So there is that. I think it's just a difference in media, but it is rather annoying. Now, there was a lot of whining over on Twitter that I mentioned in my non-spoilery review of people telling Neil Gaiman that he's suddenly woke now because of his casting, the casting choices for the TV show, especially once he said that he greenlit gender swapping characters, changing the ethnicity of characters, all of that, and how he didn't understand his own characters. There was one that, like, so Joanna Constantine, okay? Joanna Constantine is a version of John Constantine from Hellblazer. The same character, gender swapped with a gender swapped name. They are largely the same character. I am iffy about gender swapping Constantine. And the main reason is because in the comics, Constantine is canonically bisexual. Meaning he, because he's a he in the comics, is canonically a bisexual man. Making Joanna Constantine a bisexual woman, there's a different connotation societally with those things. And I think in some way, maintaining his perceived gender as male and making him bisexual would have gone a long way towards bisexual awareness in media. Media is very common, especially visual media, for defaulting to female bisexuality instead of male bisexuality, which both are prevalent, and I could do an entire video about bi erasure both in the LGBTQ plus community and in media, but I'm not going to. Not today. Someday I'm just gonna have a Long Island iced tea too many, and I'm gonna turn on the camera and you're gonna get what you get. But yeah, there's that. I feel like it took some of the bite out of what having an openly bisexual character could have meant in that moment. That is not a critique of that. That is just my opinion. It's a fairly minor one, and it's more so a critique overall of how Hollywood interprets alternative sexualities. That's it. Feel free to disagree with me, especially if you are a bisexual individual, but it's my opinion. Alright, point 3, John D. Okay, first of all, David Thewlis is not unattractive enough to be John D. What do I mean by that? In the comic books, which I alluded to in this non-spoilery review, he is not only John D, the son of Ethel Crump and Charles Dance's character, but he is also a supervillain named Dr. Destiny, who frequently fought against the Justice League of America in the comics. That's beside the point. They thankfully yeeted all of the DC comic references from the Sandman for the most part. I'll get into one later. But yeah, they mostly just toss all that stuff out, didn't really focus on it. But something about his character is the fact that having possession of the ruby has sort of eaten away at him. In a way, and it's made him sort of desiccated, I guess would be a good word for it, where it sort of hollowed him out. I like those visualizations. I can see the point of his scars being on the inside so people on the outside aren't instantly put on guard with him, but I do think he looks too well put together for a character with his backstory and his addiction to this ruby that makes your dreams come true. They also went a long way towards making him more sympathetic, but to a more understandable degree than with Morpheus. I see them making him more sympathetic as a way for them to get you invested in what he's thinking and what he's doing. In the comic books, he mostly just wanted to be worshipped and adored and want to have power and control over everybody. In the show, he wants truth because his mother lied to him constantly. His entire life was made up of lies. And so now he just wants he wants to force people to tell the truth, which is much more sympathetic. Also, there's the fact that in the comic books, he does not let the nice lady and her dog live. And I knew that as a comic book reader. And I sat there and I was just it's like an anxiety thing. You feel it ramping up and ramping up and ramping up because you know what he does. And then at the end when he doesn't, it's just sort of this, you just let out the sigh. It was very emotional for me, very fraught, because I said, I knew what happened to the comics because I read them. I was kind of really hoping they wouldn't take it the same way because I'm an animal lover and I hate animal cruelty, and that's a trigger warning for this show. There, especially if you watch the 2 bonus episodes at the end, there is animal cruelty in the show. Just do what I did and just hit the fast forward button. It's minor, but it's there. And with John D's character, you also have the diner scene, which I feel played out the same but different as the comics. Like I said, in the comics, there's a scene where he makes him worship him as a god. He has God written across his chest. If you want to see a comic book accurate one, I found one on YouTube that was a fan one from a few years ago. I'll definitely link it down below. You can go take a look at that. It's much different. They changed Bet's character in the fact that she is, in her internal monologue, openly homophobic. They softened that to a modern interpretation of homophobia of basically she just thinks Jude hasn't met the right boy yet, and that's all she needs in order to give up girls forever. So there's that. Little minor changes like that. But the diner scene was another one that you knew what was coming if you read the comics. And even if you didn't, because I watched a couple episodes with my mom because I tried to get her to indulge in media. She did not like this because of how bloody it was, but she watched that episode with me, which was probably not the best one. And even she could feel the palpable, it's building up to something, it's building up to something, it's building up to something, even though she hadn't watched or read the comic books before. So, there is that, and I think that's very good. I like that. I like that a lot. All right, let's talk about death. Only going to talk about death in one factor, and that is the fact that if you are triggered by infant or child death, you could watch part of the scenes with death where her and Morpheus talk, but you're going to want to skip. As soon as you see a baby, just hit fast forward. Sorry. This is why it's spoiler talk. Just hit fast forward. But along with that, the dynamic between Death and Morpheus in the show is great. It's spot on. It's exactly how it was in the comics, in my opinion. And I really do enjoy that. Same thing with Morpheus and Desire. They have the same relationship as in the comics, and I like the fact that they kept the comics through line with Rose, and especially because that leads up to where they can take later seasons with basically Desire trying to trick Morpheus into spilling kin blood. I'm not going to tell you exactly who, because I feel like even if you want, like, you might watch it one day, and it is a very big surprise and things like that. So, like, I don't really want to spoil that fully for you. Let's just say Desire has their hand in a lot of things, and it spans a long period of time, a lot of build up and setup, and let's just say they made sure that there would be somebody who would be positioned in such a way where Morpheus might probably have to kill them, but also that person was related to him by blood, and killing them would be an offense for an endless. And it's a big pinnacle moment for the show. And very well handled. Incredibly well handled. I love the entire storyline. It was almost the same as it was from the comics, and I think they played it out very well. They set up for Lucifer for season 2. Anybody who doesn't get it, Lucy's getting ready to, like, jump ship, and she's going to try to figure out how to make Morpheus keep control of it. Is Lucifer in this a girl? Like, Gwendolyn Christie sometimes plays her roles so androgynously that I don't know if they're intended on being they, them, or she, her. It's not like Desire. But yeah, like, I just don't know if Gwendolyn Christie's character is supposed to be female or gender androgynous. And so I just use she. Yeah, Gwendolyn Christie is a cisgendered woman, so she. But anyway, Lucifer is going to try to get Morpheus to take control of Hell. It's a big plot line in the comics. They very much telegraphed that to anybody who's a comic book reader. I'm excited for it. Their entire interaction is pretty good. All of the hell scenes are... My biggest problem with the hell scenes, there's a lot there if you're a comic book reader and you already know the context for things. If you are not a comic book reader, there's a lot of stuff that you're going to miss. And it's going to be very annoying to you because you feel like they should explain it. I'm hoping some of those points they go back to in season 2 and they exacerbate on them, because I do feel that it is missed by a lot of non-comic book readers who are enjoying the show, and that's a way of isolating new audience members. Alright, another spoiler, kind of, is Lita and her baby. Hector is a ghost living in their dreaming. She ends up pregnant because of Rose's powers. I'm not going to explain any more than that. It's not really relevant, and all that's really relevant is that she ends up pregnant. And due to a dream. But it's important for later seasons. And also a very deep cut Easter egg. To the point where I was pretty sure I remembered what the deep cut was, and I had to Google it just to be sure. But the deep cut is that Hector is actually the son of an iteration of Hawk Girl and Hawkman. So there's that. And also Lita is short for Hippolyta. I want to say in a comic she was Amazonian, but I don't remember for sure. I'll Google it. Hey everybody, Editing Amber here, busting in to tell you that DC Comics are just ridiculous. So I did Google it because I couldn't remember what exactly Hippolyta was. Turns out she is in fact the only child of Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor. Yes, that Wonder Woman and that Steve Trevor, who was, on top of everything else, a superhero in her own right in the DC Comics of the age named Fury. I also forgot that Hector Hull, on top of being the child of Hawkgirl and Hawkman, was also the Sandman at one point. Yes, that Sandman. Not that one, the other one. And Dr. Fate. He was also Dr. Fate. So yeah, DC Comics are really messed up. And this is just your fun aside to remind you of that. Okay, back to the main event. But yeah, it was a very deep cut, and it's very interesting, and it also goes a long way towards showing what's going to come later. If they continue on with the show, which I'm hoping they do. But yeah, that's going to be it. That's all I want to talk about with my spoilery reviews. The ending was fine. It wrapped everything up neatly in a way that can continue on to the next season. The Corinthian has left kind of hanging, so I'm hoping that they pick that up somewhere. Oh, one other thing before I wrap up. I do like the reveal about Fiddler's Green, because I forgot about it in the from the comics. So I do like, because the entire time I was like going like, no, I know, like, who is that? Like, I know they're important, but, and then when it's basically Rose meets somebody at a boarding house, and he's a nice older gentleman who lives upstairs named Gilbert. And I just kept, like, the entire time he's on the screen, I'm like, I know he's important somehow. And then, like, when the big reveal comes, he's Fiddler's Green, which is like a dream that's escaped the dreaming. Like, I love it. It's a great moment. A+. In any case, now this is the end of my spoilery talk. If there was anything that I missed that you guys want to talk about, bring it up down in the comments below. Have a discussion amongst yourself, or I'll pitch in, like always, with my 2 cents. But yeah, there's a lot I left out. There's a lot that goes on. It's 10 hours worth of television, 12 hours worth of television because of the 2 bonus episodes. Which, if you want me to do those, I'll just basically say, Dream of a Thousand Cats was sad. I cried. I don't like crying. And Calliope was great foreshadowing with what could come later. And also Standard Gaiman, in the fact that it was a critique of men pretending to be feminists. So, don't know what I'm talking about? Go watch it. You'll see in that new context. But yeah, 2 good episodes there. In any case, like I said, if there's anything else you want to talk about, bring it up down below and we'll continue the conversation. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up. It helps boost my ego and me in the algorithm. That's it. If you want, if this is your first time finding my channel, please subscribe. I'm happy to have you around. I appreciate all of my viewers. You are all, I'm assuming, halfway decent human beings. Fingers crossed. In any case, that's going to be it for today, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.